Hi, I'm Pastor Scott. This is Extraordinary Connection, and I'm glad you're here today. This week, Joanne Rogers passed away at the age of 92. Do you know her story? Probably not. See, she's always been overshadowed by her husband, Fred Rogers, or as most people know him, Mr. Rogers. They were husband and wife for 50 years before Fred died of stomach cancer in 2003. Yes, 18 years ago. And so I was reading her obituary in the New York Times and in a few other papers. I found it curious that whenever they were talking about her, it was almost exclusively in terms of her husband, Fred. How they met, or the good work he did for children. It was almost like a footnote in the obituaries to mention anything about Joanne at all. Did you know that Joanne had a master's degree in music and that she was an extremely gifted concert pianist who had to end her career early because of arthritis? Or that she too worked tirelessly in charity and social advocacy with children, ironically through the Fred Rogers Foundation. Even the quotes they cited from her TEDx talk were all about her relationship with Fred. I did find one article about an interviewer who became pen pals with Joanne and talked with deep affection about how much Joanne really cared and never missed a chance to say I love you. But other than those small details, Joanne was always described in terms of her husband and in relation to her husband. At first, I was a little hurt on her behalf. This woman lived for 92 years, and the best we can do to remember and eulogize her is in terms of her deceased husband, Fred. What about her accomplishments, or dreams, or passions, or friendships? Where were the stories about the lives she stood for and the differences she made in the lives of those around her? It seemed even in death, Joanne was relegated to the shadow of her late husband. But as I calmed down, I realized it really was the best obituary we could offer her. And to put it into one sentence, Joanne loved and supported her husband. Joanne uplifted and encouraged Mr. Rogers in his children's ministry. What a wonderful woman. See, we are called to lift one another up. We are called to bear each other's burdens. We are called to outdo each other in love and to honor one another over ourselves. Joanne lived into her Christian faith by loving and lifting up the work of her husband. She devoted her life into giving Fred all the resources and support he needed to do what he was called to do. What an amazing woman. Because think about all that Fred accomplished, and it's fair to say, I think, he couldn't have done it without her. So who are you uplifting? Who are you supporting? In whose world are you making a difference and offering a foundational platform so that they can go out and do the work of sharing God's love? Our calling from Christ is really in two parts. We are each called to share God's love to a hurting and broken world. And we are also called to lift and support each other as we each go out and share God's love to a hurting and broken world. Our discipleship, our service to the kingdom is done in community, each lifting and encouraging and supporting one another to the best we can, to love as fully as we can. And Joanne lived masterfully into her Christian identity by uplifting the work of her husband, Fred. So rest in peace, faithful servant Joanne. Your work made the difference in the lives of so many. And as a quick postscript, thank you, Deb, for all you do to support me. I hope you feel just as supported in your ministries too. And I'll see you next time at extraordinaryconnection.org.